Welcome, Craig. Just so you all know, Craig's iPhone is Craig Murphy with Kern County.
Hi, Craig.
Hello.
Thanks for joining us.
Sure.
Welcome, Craig. Just so you all know, Craig's iPhone is Craig Murphy with Kern.
Looks like we're live on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. And then we said that I was going to be one of the co-hosts as well. I just want to make sure that I am synced up for that when you're ready.
And then we can also make sure that we have the interpreting available. I'm not seeing it on the screen just yet.
Thank you. Right. Okay. Who's going where, Raina and Amelia?
Mrs. Amelia will be interpreting tonight.
Amelia is going to be interpreting tonight.
Thank you. Okay, it looks like it is available now.
And I wonder if we can start admitting people, all of them, so they can start renaming themselves.
Have Hannah.
Perfect. You're on top of that. And Heather or Jess, can you guys confirm the code for the interpretation? Is this a correct code? Perfect. Thanks, Mari.
It is good. Yeah.
It's what was on the agenda.
Yep.
Thank you, buddy.
Hello, ladies.
Hi.
Hi, Bianca.
Good to see you.
Hello, Bianca.
Can we disable the chat, please, Hannah?
Yes. Kim is the host and she will take care of it.
So do we put ourselves as residents or
Meeting.
Bianca, we'll be going
Absolutely.
through that in just a minute.
okay?
Good evening, everyone. If you're just joining us, please do take a look at the screen. And if you have a chance to update your screen name, instructions to do so are on the screen. We will get started in just a few moments.
Muy buenas tardes a todos. Para los que se están uniendo apenas al sistema de Zoom, si usted nos está escuchando por Zoom el día de hoy, favor de renombrarse mientras que va entrando. Tenemos instrucciones en la pantalla, pero para reiterar algunas de estas instrucciones y asegurar que son en español, van a poder cambiar su nombre. Para cambiar el nombre van a hacer clic a los 3 puntitos y seleccionar renombrar. Y nos encantaría que nos deje saber si usted es un residente, ponga residente seguido por su nombre. Y para accesar la interpretación, si tenemos interpretación simultánea disponible esta noche, favor de hacer clic al icono que parece un mundo, seleccionan interpretación y van a seleccionar su lenguaje de preferencia, que en este caso sería el español, y de esa manera nos va a poder escuchar en español y puede asegurar que va a poder hacer comentarios también en español. Aquí estaremos para asistir la señorita Emilia y yo, su servidora Reina.
Oh, wow. I'm so proud of you.
Good evening and welcome to the kickoff meeting for the AB 617 program in Arvin, Lamont. We're going to get started in just a couple moments. People are still joining. Thank you so much for spending this evening with us.
Thank you.
For those of you just joining, we've placed on the screen some instructions for updating your screen name. If you know how to utilize Zoom, please go ahead and change your screen name. We will also go over these instructions in detail in just a few seconds. So if this looks confusing to you, don't worry. We will absolutely walk you through it. But if you are comfortable and able to, we'd love to have you update your screen name with your name and organization, or if you're a resident of Arvin, Lamont, we'd love to know that as well. Thanks again for joining us. We're going to get started in just a couple seconds.
Hey, I'm in the AB 617 kickoff meeting.
We have some trouble. Get double, don't worry.
Love the music, Jamie.
Don't worry, be happy. Don't worry. Be happy. Don't worry, be happy.
All right. Air District team, I'm just going to look to you briefly to ask if we have all of some of the speakers on the line today. If you give me the thumbs up, we'll go ahead and get started when you're ready.
I have a question, Erica. Is it possible, I do have a couple residents that might not know how to change the name to be as residents. If I give you the names, can that be possible?
Absolutely, that's what we're here for. So you can either do that for us, or you can tell us who it is, and the team behind the scenes can work directly with them.
I try to do it via chat, but I can't do it. The chat is disabled.
No problem. Bianca, what name do you have? And I'll have if you can.
Eva Garcia, I have.
Great.
And that's Mario too. Then I have Jose Mireles, Graviela Ojeda.
Eva, Maria. What was the other name?
Graviela.
Gabriela, great. Anybody else?
And yeah, those are the ones that I have right now on my list.
Perfect. Do they need a Spanish translation as well, or just residents?
I believe just as residents right now, but let me double check. I'll let you know right now.
Okay. No problem. We have some time. Thanks for letting us know. For those of you just joining us, we are going to get started in just a couple of seconds. We have some instructions on the screen. For those of you that are familiar, you're welcome to update your screen name. If you don't know how to do that, we can help walk you through it. And it's not even mandatory, it's just helpful information for us to have. And we're gonna go through instructions on how to use Zoom in just a couple of seconds. And I'm going to ask you to stop sharing your screen. I do love the beautiful pictures, though.
That's not my screen.
Oh, that's Roberto's screen. Okay, Roberto Garcia is sharing his screen, and it's delightful. But I'm wondering if we can stop that share.
I think I can.
Thank you. Well, actually, why don't we go ahead and stop sharing all screens, and we'll go ahead and get started so we can see everyone's faces. Perfect. I know that a number of you are still joining, and that is okay. We will do a little bit of housekeeping at the beginning of this meeting, but we wanted to go ahead and get started so we can start a little bit on time and end on time in honor of your evening. First off, I want to say good evening and welcome to the kickoff meeting for the AB 617 program in Arvin and Lamont. This is so exciting, and we're so happy to have you all here with us tonight. My name is Erica Manuel. I'm with the Institute for Local Government. ILG is a nonprofit organization. We help local governments work more closely and collaboratively with communities. And the San Joaquin Air District has asked ILG to help facilitate tonight's virtual meeting, which is the first virtual kickoff meeting for an AB 617 community in this district. And so I am here with some members of my team, and we're going to be helping to keep the agenda flowing, making sure that the meeting logistics run smoothly and that we start on and end the meeting on time tonight. So you can get to dinner or whatever it is that you need to do with your families and friends. My colleagues Kim, Hannah, and Nicole will be behind the scenes, ensuring that you don't have any technical difficulties during tonight's meeting. They are waving right now. I know there's a lot of faces. So many of you joined tonight, but they will be available. They're the co-hosts of this meeting on the Zoom screen. And so any assistance they need, they can help you through this. And then I have another colleague, Julia, who's on the line as well. She and I are going to be walking you through this agenda this evening. So Julia, why don't you unmute and say hello really quickly? And then we're going to go to our Spanish translation and make sure that they have everything they need from the interpretation side.
Great. Welcome, everyone. My name is Julia Salinas. Thank you for your interest in participating in the Community Steering Committee. I will be working with this group to facilitate the process going forward. So I'm looking forward to working with you all. Bienvenidos a todos. Me llamo Julia Salinas. Gracias por su interés en participar en este comité de la comunidad. Voy a ayudar a este grupo con facilitación del proceso. Thank you all.
Thank you. We're so excited to have you all. Bienvenidos. All right, so before we go any farther, I'd love to give our Spanish-speaking participants the chance to log on. And Mari, would you please make sure that all of our Spanish speakers are able to, please let us know when that is green light to go.
Hola, muy buenas tardes y bienvenidos a la reunión de hoy. Aquí en la pantalla van a poder ver que tenemos, para si quiere la interpretación en español, en su pantalla de laptop o computadora, va a haber un icono que dice, un icono de un mundo que dice interpretación. Va a seleccionar ese botón y luego oprimir el idioma español. Y también va a querer seleccionar el botón que dice silenciar audio original o mute original audio para poder escuchar solamente el español. Y en caso de que tengan algún problema técnico, nos puede avisar o también puede ingresar a la vía telefónica que tenemos. El número de teléfono está aquí en la pantalla. Es el 888-240-3210 y el código de acceso es el 9631-57-4 y luego el número de signo. En caso de que tengan alguna pregunta, me pueden preguntar en este momento o si necesitan que repasar esto.
Buenas tardes, mi nombre es Marta. ¿Y de celular podemos elegir en español o no es posible a través de Zoom en el teléfono?
En el teléfono sí, parece que va a buscar los botones, tiene como son 3 puntos.
Ok.
Y luego allí va a seleccionar, oprimir ese botón y luego creo que le va a dar más opciones. Y luego va a querer seleccionar el que dice interpretación o su idioma.
Oh, sí, aquí está.
Y también va a poder oprimir el botón para silenciar el audio original o original audio también.
Sí, muchas gracias.
Ok, de nada. Gracias. ¿Otra persona tenga alguna pregunta? Okay, no escucho nada, entonces vamos a seguir con la reunión. Thank you, Erica. I think we're ready to go. Oh, ajá. Mande.
Mi nombre es Adón Chávez y también soy de la familia Chávez, nada más que mi teléfono yo no puedo acceder porque no tengo mi Zoom. Entonces, pero estoy participando también aquí por el teléfono de mi esposa, ¿se puede?
Sí, también puede participar aquí. Necesitamos que renombrarlo o...
Sí.
Ok, ¿y ya ingresó a la llamada entonces también? El
Sí.
español, digo, a la interpretación de español.
Sí.
Ok, y es Marta, ¿y cuál es su nombre de usted?
Adón Chávez.
Ok. Sí, lo voy a poner en el mismo. Ok, gracias. ¿Alguna otra pregunta?
No, gracias.
No, gracias.
Okay, gracias. Okay, so I think we just need to rename them because they have he's the additional person on that one, so I can't see the name because of the slide share.
It looks like it's Marta.
Yes, and we need to add Adolfo. It sounds like that was his name.
Alfonso?
It's Odon. It's Odon. I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you, Marisela, via text right now.
Okay, gracias.
Gracias, Bianca. Is that everyone, Mari?
Yes, we can move forward.
Excellent, thank you. One of the things that you'll learn about this process is we like to make sure that everyone has the opportunity to participate. And so we appreciate everyone's patience while we ensure that those of us that don't speak Spanish or don't speak English have the opportunity to work through this program and process as well and can work with all of us on this program. So now let's make sure that all of you are comfortable with the technology that we're going to be using tonight. I know for some of you, this is your 50th Zoom call, or maybe your 500th, and so for others, it might be your first. And so we just want to make sure that everyone knows how to use the controls so that you can participate as fully as possible. We're going to walk you through a few steps to make sure you're comfortable with the technology that we're using tonight. So first things first, showing on your screen right now are some of the ways that you can participate in the meeting today. So as I mentioned at the beginning, I said that this is the first virtual kickoff meeting we've had for an AB 617 community in the San Joaquin district. And so normally we would be in person in the same room. And when you wanted to speak up during the meeting, you would raise your hand. Well, today we're going to do the same thing virtually in our meeting today. We're going to ask you to use the raise hand feature, which is the blue hand in Zoom. So if you're on a computer or tablet and you have the original version of Zoom, and your control panel's on the bottom of your screen. You can see a little screenshot of what that looks like. Yes, you're doing it. Good job. A lot of you are raising your hands. You can click on the participants icon, raise your hand, click on that button, and you'll see all the different ways that you can raise your hand. There is a new update of Zoom that just rolled out, and if you happen to have that one, your raise hand button is actually going to be on the reactions button, which is that bottom half of the screen there. It'll show you with a little blue hand, or there's a little button right there that says raise hand, and it's actually a yellow hand. That's the way you would raise your hand in the new Zoom feature. So depending on which version of Zoom you're using, you will see one of those two screens. If you are not on a computer, if you're on a phone, you can raise your hand by pressing *9. And if you want to mute or unmute yourself and you're on the phone, you can press *6. And you do *6 to unmute, *6 to mute back, and vice versa. And for those of you that have never done this before, I saw some of you testing it out. Test it right now. Raise your hand, and then we can lower them, but manually behind the scenes. Just want to make sure you feel comfortable so that when you do want to talk or to make a comment or ask a question, you know how to do that. We'll take a couple seconds and let everyone get comfortable. Fantastic.
Erica, I have a question. I know Kim, you had sent me something. I don't know if you want to text me at my number, 661.
Sure.
661-865.
Okay.
0458.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Perfect. Kim will do that. All right. So the next thing we want to talk to you about is our virtual meeting etiquette. So first of all, we are just so excited to see so many of you on the line today. And if everyone were in person, I think we can say with so many of you, 75 on the line, this would be a packed house. So these are a few ground rules just to make sure we can all hear each other.
I'm going to interrupt you because I think I heard in the background somebody say that they still had a question in Spanish.
Oh, excellent.
¿Cuál es su pregunta?
Sí, ya seleccioné el idioma español y en las opciones para apagar el video, el audio original no funciona.
¿Está en una tableta o en el teléfono?
En el teléfono.
En el teléfono. Ok, creo que eso va a ser el problema.
Okay.
Was it the, when they're on the tablet or a phone, I think that she's having issues to silence the English because she still hears both of the languages.
Okay.
Okay,
And this is Martha?
Yes.
So to
Okay.
clarify, does she click on mute original audio
Yes.
on her tablet, and she still hears both languages? Can she try without clicking mute original audio and see if that helps?
Okay, puede intentar no de oprimir ese botón que dice silenciar audio original.
Sí. Sí, lo estoy haciendo. Oh, no me... Ay, ya me salí.
I think she turned off her camera. She's trying.
No, of course. So yeah, sometimes Zoom
Gracias.
does that.
Oh, sí estoy tratando donde dice apagar el audio original.
Ajá.
Dice desconectar audio.
Sí, y todavía puede escucharlo en español.
No, para atrás.
Es que creo que tiene dos aparatos prendidos en un cuarto, por eso están escuchando dos lenguajes. En el que no tiene interpretación, están escuchando en inglés, y en el que sí tiene la opción de Zoom para interpretación, están escuchando en español. Si están dos en un cuarto, tal vez lo más ideal sería apagar el audio para que no lo escuchen o poner audífonos al teléfono para que no se oiga ese eco.
Sí, ya estamos solo en un cuarto con un celular.
Ok.
Ya apagué donde dice audio original.
La otra cosa que puede hacer es, si quiere, pero no sé si tengan acceso a otro número o otro teléfono, pero puede posiblemente, let me see. Iba a decir porque tenemos el número de teléfono que está aquí en la pantalla del 888-240-3210.
Ok.
Y luego el código de acceso para ingresar para que solamente lo escuche en inglés es el 96 31 57 4 y luego el signo de número.
Sí, está bien, gracias.
Y así puede a lo mejor silenciar todo el audio que está pasando por la computadora o por el teléfono y luego simplemente llamar a este número de teléfono y escucharlo por esa manera.
Sí, está bien, gracias.
Ok. ¿Alguna otra pregunta? Okay, parece que no. Okay. Thank you, Erica. We can go ahead and move forward.
No problem. Thank you all so much for that. And thank you, Marty, for helping. We really do appreciate your support there. Okay, so the next thing we were talking about is virtual meeting etiquette. This will be very, very quick. We do want to make sure that we can all hear each other while we're having this meeting. So if you can, please stay on mute unless you're planning to speak or are speaking. So that's a *6 if you're participating by phone. Raise that Zoom hand. We just showed you how to do that. If you have a question during the Q&A or after presentations. And then we will ask you to use the chat box occasionally to communicate questions or comments that you'd like to have captured and to answer questions that we ask you. So we do request that you stay on mute, as I mentioned, unless you have a comment that you'd like to make. And certainly throughout this meeting, we want to make sure that your technology is working. So you can even raise your hand if you've got a technology problem. We'll try and get to you as quickly as possible. And then we did mention early in this meeting, if we were in person, you'd have a wonderful name tag that says, hello, my name is. We don't have that today. And so we did ask, and we showed a screen at the very beginning of the meeting that showed how to change your screen name. I see most of you have done that. Thank you so much. If you haven't done that, that's okay. It's not mandatory, but we'll help you if you don't know how. And if you are able to, here's some instructions for changing your screen name. And just making your first name and your last name, and then let us know if you're a resident, if you're a member of the business community, if you're a member of the public, or if you're with some other organization like the Air District or CARB or the city. All right, and again, the key to this is if you have any questions, you need any help, feel free to ask, and the ILG team can manually assist you behind the scenes with technology as needed. All right, so now that we've walked you through the details of that technology, I do want to give you an overview of tonight's meeting. First and foremost, today is a special occasion. It is the kickoff of a really amazing program that is based on legislation that was passed that's called AB 617. This legislation is going to help people and businesses in Arvin, Lamont make some really incredible improvements to the air quality in this community. And as many of you know, this is an incredibly competitive process. A lot of communities around the state wanted to participate in this program, and Arvin, Lamont was selected. And when we heard that, when the ILG team found out that you were selected, we were so ecstatic because we know that your community's been working really hard and doing as much as possible with the resources you have to make this the best place possible to live. And now really being selected for AB 617 is going to help you do even more. So it's an exciting opportunity. And tonight you're going to hear from a number of community leaders at the state level, at the local level, who can tell you a little bit more about what this means. As I mentioned, I run the Institute for Local Government. We're a nonprofit organization. We're also nonpartisan, and we work statewide. We actually had the privilege of working with the city of Arvin on a program for the past 2 years where ILG helped the city of Arvin with some environmental projects, some housing projects, and some other activities. So we are a little bit biased. We have a soft spot for this community, and we cannot wait to see what you do with AB 617. And then personally, I can just tell you that I am a Central Valley native. I grew up in a small farming town in Stanislaus County, and I have family up and down the Central Valley, including right by Arvin. And so because I think of my upbringing, I spent a lot of time in my career helping raise awareness about issues like this, right, that are important to communities like Arvin, Lamont, whether it's agriculture or clean air or clean energy or jobs. And I've worked with farm bureaus, I've worked with labor organizations, environmental justice groups, and everything in between. And it's so exciting to bring communities together and find common ground, and that's what we're here to do tonight. So one thing I know about communities like Arvin and Lamont is that and the place that I grew up as well, there's something really special about your communities. It's the people, it's the spirit, and it's the landscape. It's everything that makes where you live unique. And tonight we're going to celebrate that. We're going to celebrate what's special. We're going to learn more about the opportunity that you have with this program, but we're also going to learn from you. We're going to learn what you love about your community, what makes it something that you want to preserve and protect, and what you might even want to improve. So my colleague, Julia, who you've already heard from a little bit today, is going to be walking you through this agenda, and you're going to hear from a wide range of voices. And at the end of the meeting, we're going to explain how you can get involved and sign up to join this community steering committee that will guide this important work. And we do hope that you will ask questions. We hope that you will share some information about yourself, what you care about, and what you hope Arvin Lamont can achieve with this great and incredible opportunity. So at this time, I'll turn it over to Julia to run the agenda, and she's going to introduce a few people that would like to welcome you to this meeting.
Great, thank you, Erica. Well, welcome again, everyone. We're really excited to have you all here and to get involved with this process. We'd love to open up the room to first have a couple of folks introduce themselves. So starting with Craig Murphy, the Assistant Director of Planning for Kern County, and then followed by Christine Viterelli, grant writer for City of Arvin. So we'll start off with Craig to share some words. And after we hear from them, we're going to do a bit of an icebreaker to hear a little bit from each of you as well and get to know who's in the room. So hand it over to Craig.
All right, Julia, thank you. Thank you, Erica, too, for facilitating today's meeting. First of all, I just wanted to introduce myself again for anybody that's watching. My name is Craig Murphy. I'm the Assistant Director at the Kern County Planning Department. I'm very active in a lot of projects that happen around the county of Kern and in the unincorporated area. And the county is a good partner with the city of Arvin. And so, the biggest thing that I wanted to do today is welcome you. I want to encourage you to participate in this program if you can find the time to. One of the things that I tell people is one of the reasons I became a planner and I like the local level of planning is simply because of the community engagement. Everybody has a special place where they live. Everybody can express their hometown community better than anyone else can. And so your participation is valuable in this process. And so, again, I will be the representative from the county that will help participate, answer questions that I can for you. But again, I would encourage you to participate in this program just simply because without your participation, without your input, it's difficult for us to help create the plans and facilitate the type of improvements that you're looking for. So there's a lot of exciting things happening in both the unincorporated Kern County area and the city of Arvin. And this is just one of those things that will lead to your participation in other projects as well. So I want to thank you for your participation in advance. I appreciate you taking the time tonight to join this meeting. And again, I'm sure that you will look forward to seeing us, and we look forward to seeing you in the next months as we begin this process. So thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Craig. Next, we'd love to hear from Christine Viterelli, again, grant writer for City of Arvin. So Christine, if you'd like to share.
Sorry, I needed to unmute myself. So I'm really super excited to be here and to see, more importantly, to see the number of residents here tonight, and truly very, very grateful for your participation. I know as the grant writer for the City of Arvin that we have implemented many programs and worked very hard to get where we are today in implementing programs that improve the air quality in Arvin and reduce the greenhouse gases. But I also know, because I work in Arvin on every day, I can see that there is much work to be done. So one of the things I just wanted to say was that public participation really is the key to equity. Your voices and what you have to say is so very important as we kick off this program. So we need you, and we hope that you will continue to participate in this program and embark on this journey with us together so that we can make the communities of Arvin and Lamont better and improve the air quality and bring programs to the residents that will be very beneficial to their health and to their quality of life. And I'm just really excited to see everybody here and grateful, and thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Christine. Great. So now we would love to hear from the rest of you. What we have set up here is a little bit of a poll to get to know who's in the room, as well as we'd like to hear a few of your voices. Going forward, we're all going to be working together through this process, whether you're on the steering committee, whether you're involved in different ways. Basically, we're really excited to have this group here. And so looking forward to get to know you. So if we could pull up the poll, that would be great. And we have a few questions for you to learn a little bit about who's in the room. And if we can also pull up the PowerPoint with the questions, that'd be great. So just give us 1 minute.
We may actually be having some technical difficulties related to the poll.
And that's why there are several of us here, so we can all chime in. I can watch the poll apparently. Here you go. Your first question is coming up.
Great. So how long have you lived in the community? So feel free to select one of those answers. So you could say lived or worked in the community as well. So.
And I can see how many people already voted. So I'm waiting for a couple more residents, members of the public to vote. Let us know. Okay, let's give it another, perhaps 10 seconds. Okay, so most of you voted. Let me show you the results. Julia, we're showing the results?
Yes, please. Yeah. Great. So a really good spread of a lot of people that have been here either somewhere between 10 and 50 years. A smaller group of us that have been here over 50 years, which is amazing. And then a solid group that's been here at least 4 years and probably one person that's been here less than a year. So that's a really nice spread. Awesome. It's exciting. Thank you. Let's go to the next question.
Okay, give me 1 second. I'm gonna select question 2 and I'm gonna launch it. Here you go.
Great. So have you ever participated in a community meeting or committee in the past?
Okay, waiting on a couple more answers. Okay, I like what I see on the screen. You cannot see it yet, but I can. This is a very engaged community. Spoiler alert. And voila, here are the results.
Wow. All right. So 89% of you have participated in some form of either a committee or a meeting, which is amazing. And it's great to have that 11% of you that have not, and this is your first time getting engaged. So it's really great to have you here, at the table. So thank you for all of you for being in this role. Excellent. And now we have one more question for you, which is an open-ended question. So what are you most excited to see as a result of better air quality in the Arvin Lamont community? So feel free to use the chat here. We're opening up the chat so that you can respond either in the chat, and then I think for Spanish speakers as well, Spanish only speakers will be working with the interpreter to also share their responses as well. So we'll give you guys, a few minutes to think about this. It's a big question. Again, we are focused on, what is the goal here with improving air quality? What are you most excited to see as a result of it?
Erica and Julia, I'm getting a message from Bianca stating that the Spanish speakers are listening to both languages. So I don't know if we're having just technical difficulties with the interpreting option today. I just want to make sure you're aware of that.
Thank you for that. It does sound like it. I'm wondering if there's an opportunity for them to hang up and call back in. Do you know, goodness, that's so unfortunate. We'll troubleshoot it on the back end and come back to you, Mari.
Okay.
Are they able to participate in any way, or is it completely distracting and they can't hear, or are they able to participate? Do we want us to hold off while they log back in?
We might be able to get more information from Bianca because they're the ones messaging her directly.
Yeah, now's a great time for them to log back in.
Thank you. And it does make it difficult for the interpreter as well, since the interpreter can also hear the two languages. So it would make it very, one of the solutions that we have found in the past is if we can turn off interpretation and turn it back on, sometimes it resolves those issues.
Yeah, if we just pause and let people use the chat, then I'll just turn it off briefly.
Vamos a intentar apagar la interpretación y volverla a aprender para que de esa manera vamos a ver si eso resuelve el eco en inglés para que puedan escuchar solo la presentación en español. Vamos a hacer ese intento, así es que en un momento se va a apagar la interpretación y la van a volver a aprender y simplemente van a tener que seleccionar una vez más el icono que parece un mundo y luego el lenguaje de español. Y recuerden poner el audio original en inglés en silencio. Así es que van a ir a donde dice Mute Original Audio o Mute y así van a poder silenciar el audio de inglés.
And Raina, if you want to double check, I turned that off and back on. You can let me know if there's still an echo.
Perfecto. Si nos pueden dar un pulgarcito para arriba o una reacción dejándonos saber que la interpretación está funcionando. Queremos asegurar que nos puedan escuchar.
And I see a note in the chat here that the interpretation is working now. Great.
Do we need to put the slide back up or are they good?
Si gustan las instrucciones una vez más de interpretación, favor de dejarnos saber y vamos a estar aquí para apoyar.
So I'm going to start kind of looking through the chats and see what you've all said so far, but feel free to keep adding your thoughts as well. So I'll just kind of go down the list here and get a sense of, what did everyone say? So from Kim here at ILG, kids can safely play outside. Thank you for the starter there. That's great. A resident, Bianca here says the monitoring in the Arvin and Lamont communities that is needed. Cesar here says better public health, mejor salud del público. Paramijit, better living area. Kent says here continued prosperity of our communities. Yolanda, improved health footprint. And we have a resident here, Jose Mireles, who says a community free of contamination where kids and children can live a healthy life. Linda, I'm excited to see the communities and stakeholders coming together to improve air quality in the Arvin Lamont area, working together to clean the air. Great. Another resident, Gabriela, says here that if we can reduce, air pollution in our community, that's really the goal. Gustavo, excited to see how the regional AQ we know based on current data and the upcoming localized air monitoring data look like and see if they are similar or different. We've got another resident here, Bob, kids being able to play outside without having to worry about pesticides. Jesus, a resident, says here, I'm excited to infuse these funds of approximately $30 million into these communities to improve the quality of living for our residents. And then from Mary Urbano, so because people that suffer from allergies can improve their quality of life when the air quality is improved. A few more here. So doing business with new modern techniques and clean air equipment, better health for community members. And if Hilltop Fuller Acres is included, better quality of life in parks. That's another from another person, Jenny, better quality of life in parks. From Jesus, less dust and dirt around. So I'll read a few more here as well. I look forward to seeing improved public health when the steering committee comes up with additional measures to improve air quality and public health beyond what is already existing. Health for everyone, especially residents. It's from Roberto Garcia. And a healthy community for my kids and more opportunities for my kids to enjoy playing outside. Great. So I'll read one more here. Healthier communities, cleaner air for all communities. And then lastly, I'll end with Emma here. I'm excited to hear community voices, concerns, and priorities, and excited to see public agencies affirmatively and equitably support and invest in our communities to address concerns. So thank you all for these great, comments. And this is really kind of what this is all about, right? Thinking through why are we here? Why are we doing this? Really important work. And it's really great to see you, vocalize that and be able to share that together. So thank you. We also wanted to hear from a few people that are, very involved in the community, helping the Lamont Arvin community. And so we wanted to get a few volunteers. We have a few names here, Gustavo and Bianca and Jose Mireles, as three people that we'd love to just have you share a little bit about, again, kind of these icebreaker questions, your name, if you have an organization that you work with in the community as well, how long you've lived in the area or worked in the area, and share a little bit again about kind of, these goals around air quality and what you hope to see as an outcome. So if we could start with Gustavo and just have you share a few words and introduce yourself to the full group, that would be great. Then after them, also get a couple more volunteers that might be interested to introduce yourselves to the full group.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Gustavo Aguirre Jr., and I am the projects coordinator for Kern County for Central California Environmental Justice Network. And it's a pleasure to be with you all tonight. So Central California Environmental Justice Network, our two kind of main projects that we have is a community-based reporting platform that is able to connect residents to local regulatory agencies and also at the state level and at the regional level. And a lot of reports have came from South Kern because of the residents being so engaged. And also we've been able to do some community-based air monitoring via community research projects with the residents in Arvin and Lamont, and have been able to assist them in capturing localized air quality and getting real-time information. And so with that, their interest has grown into understanding what regulatory air monitoring is already out there, and what the regional information is. So very excited to work with you all, with the residents and the comités in Arvin and Lamont, and excited, to have them really now be, at the table with the regulatory partners, both regional and at local and at the state level. So that's something that is very exciting. And I've been working in the Arvin and Lamont region for 7 years now. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Gustavo. And then Bianca is also another resident that we would love to have speak and share and introduce herself, as well as, I'm forgetting Bianca's last name. Does somebody else know?
Santoy.
Say it again.
Santoyo.
Okay, great. Bianca, are you here and able to introduce yourself to the group?
Yes. Good afternoon.
Okay.
I'm the one that's been in the background, like bugging everybody. I'm
Okay.
sorry. But I'm an actual resident. My name is Bianca Santoyo. I actually work for an organization called Center Race Poverty in the Environment. And I was very fortunate to be part of the AB 617 the first year for Shafter. And I saw the process that happened in Shafter. And also, I'll be a little bit selfish. I was actually advocating for Arvin and Lamont because I am a resident from Arvin, and I've seen the whole dynamics that has happened in this area and how our air quality has diminished over the years, and knowing the process, how it is, and how it's resident driven. It kind of gave me the little nudge to continue doing the advocacy for Arvin and Lamont. So I'm very happy that we are finally having it here, and seeing new faces here is very important. And also all these residents that have advocated for so many years. I'm very proud of them. Like, they go all the way far beyond since the bill even was in the process of being created. So I give them very props for sticking it out. And I'm just here as an advocate and part of it as a resident, but I am very fortunate that now we have it here and we're ready to work on it. And the whole process, we have residents all the way from you could say from the north of Bakersfield that want to really participate here, even though they're not part of Arvin and Lamont, but they've listened to us and they're here as in support. And now that we have the city too, I see Christine here in support, and she's been a big supporter too here. The Board of Supervisors have sent letters, all these advocates. So I am very fortunate that we have it now and we're kicking it off. So if there's anything that you guys need, you're more than welcome to outreach. I think I gave out my cell phone, my email. I'll put it out in the chat. If anybody needs any contact, you're more than welcome to contact me too.
Great. Thank you, Bianca. We have one more person we'd like to hear from, and then I'd like to open it up to anyone else that would like to introduce themselves. Whether you're completely new to this and this is your first community meeting or process, or you're much more involved in the community as well. So we'd love to hear from a few more voices. But first I have Jose Mireles as one more person we'd like to just have introduced to the group. If you're available, Jose.
Sí, buenas tardes. Mi nombre es José Mireles. Soy un residente de aquí de Lamont por más de 50 años. Primeramente quiero darle las gracias a CCEJN y a CRPE porque nos ayudaron a ser seleccionados y a ustedes por seleccionar a Lamont y Arvin, ¿verdad? Y pues yo me puse gustoso porque, como le dijera, Arvin es una de las ciudades más contaminadas y pues es vecino de Lamont y pues decidimos hacer esto para a ver si ayudamos un poco la contaminación aquí porque estamos llenos de un poquito de todo, de refinerías, de nurseries, de muchas cosas y como estamos rodeados de las montañas, el aire pega ahí y rebota para atrás. Yo pienso que esa es una de las razones que está mucho más contaminado que otras partes, Lamont y Arvin. So, me dio un gusto cuando oí que nos iban a ayudar.
Great. Jose, if we could have Marisela or someone just summarize the translation as well.
Yeah, I can
Oh,
support.
thank you. Great.
So my name is Jose Mireles. I've been living in the community for over 50 years in the community of Lamont. And first off, I want to thank CC and CRP and the partners who helped make this possible. We are very happy that we were selected because Arvin is one of the communities that is most contaminated. And we wanted to do this because we are filled with contaminants from refineries and nurseries. Since we are surrounded by the mountains, we end up kind of like in a bowl where we feel that that is one of the reasons why the contaminants are staying around.
Great, thank you. Gracias, Jose. And I saw here that Gustavo had his hand up if you wanted to add something, or a different Gustavo. Oh, great. Excellent. Okay, thank you for hearing from each of you. And I see one hand up. So if you want to, a few more of you want to put your hands up, maybe we can hear from two more people. So I see Gustavo Aguirre, and then if anybody else would like to share as well, whether you're completely new to getting involved in the community or you're completely seasoned at it, we'd love to hear from a couple more voices. Okay, great. So I see two hands up, so we'll go with the two of you. Gustavo first, and then Ricardo. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm really happy to see all participants. It says 76, but it's more than that because a lot of families are the couples together, so it's more than that. Gustavo Aguirre with Center on Risk, Poverty and Environment, working with the community of Arvin since 2007, working with community of Lamont since 2009. My organization helped start Comité Progreso de Lamont with Jose Mireles and other local leaders and Comité por un Arvin mejor, trabajando con ellos por años y años, abogando por esta ley de la 617, primero que pasara el bill, después todos los años, ¿verdad?, abogando para que fuera escogida estas comunidades. Es que nos da muchísimo gusto de saber, ¿verdad?, que fue escogida estas comunidades y sabiendo todas las necesidades, ¿verdad? Ustedes, los que son de las agencias de gobierno, saben todas las estadísticas de las razones por qué sufre tanto nuestras comunidades en cuestión de la contaminación y comunidades desventajadas. Muy orgulloso de todo lo que han hecho los líderes de la comunidad. Van a tener miembros de su comité directivo. Yo creo que va a ser muy interesante porque conozco la mayoría de los líderes que van a ser, que aplicaron para parte del ser del comité directivo. Esperando, ¿verdad?, que ustedes, las agencias de gobierno, vengan y escuchen a la comunidad y hagan lo que es correcto dentro de todo lo posible. pero muy contento, ¿verdad? Qué bueno que miramos tanta gente interesada en esto y pues bien animados y contentos, ¿verdad? Esperando que los resultados sean, al fin del día, ¿verdad? Que sean beneficiosos para todos los residentes de las comunidades de Lamont y de Arvin. Y sí, se confunden con los Gustavos. Si Gustavo Jr. les da problemas, yo soy la causa de eso también. Muy very proud to do that. So welcome to the project, and looking forward just to find good solutions to improve the health of our communities. Thank you.
Gracias, Gustavo. If we can get a little bit of a recap as well from the interpretation.
Yes, no worries. So he does mention that he does hope that this is a very beneficial project for the Arvin Lamont community and surrounding communities, and that the residents have really been, a big part of making this happen. ¿Algo más que guste que reitere, señor Gustavo? Sé que sí mencionó varias de las cosas en inglés al principio.
No, tal vez nada más mencionar que nuestra organización ha trabajado con las comunidades de Arvin y Lamont. Con Arvin comenzamos a apoyarlos en el 2007, con Lamont en el 2009, pero que hemos estado luchando junto con los residentes, ¿verdad? Buscando mejorar las comunidades.
Perfecto. So he does mention that his organization has been working with the communities with Arvin since 2007, and in Lamont, they did begin working with the community in 2009, and that they have been working to organize.
Great, thank you. Okay, so I see a few more hands up. So what we'll do is we'll quickly hear from the rest of you that have your hands up, and then we'll need to move on and hear from the speakers and get more of an overview of what this is all about. So Ricardo, if you could go next, and then I have here Mario, Tere, and Jesus. So if we can hear from each of you very briefly, just a few sentences about who you are, what, why you're here, and then we'll move on to the presentations afterwards. So thank you.
Perfect. My name is Ricardo Del Hoyo. I am here representing labor. I represent domestic workers that take care of people that have a disability or that are 65 and over. So some of the community folks that are here are some of the most vulnerable, and we need to find better solutions and diversify our economy. And I'm also a board of directors on the Lamont Chamber of Commerce, newly elected board member. And so I'm here filling a couple hats. And I grew up in South Bakersfield in the unincorporated area of Greenfield. And so I'm very familiar with Lamont. I've been a community organizer for over 8 years. Previously, I was a community liaison for Senator Hurtado's office. I remember making the recommendation to David Couch to support AB 617 and push that forward to the South Kern, since Shafter is the North Kern. And we wanted to help in any way that was possible. And so I'm glad that we are here now. It's been awarded and it's been chosen that Lamont Arvin will get some resources to fix some of those issues that we have in our community.
Great, thank you, Ricardo. Excellent. So next we'll, how about we hear from Mario next, and then we've got Tere, Jesus, and then also Emma, and then we'll move on after that.
Hello. Oh, hi.
Hi.
My name is Mario Garcia y Elvia Garcia, and we got 50 years living here in Lamont. I'm glad that we are here to go to a good journey with you guys, and hopefully we could fix up this type of problem that we have here at Lamont and Arvin.
Thank you.
Thank
Welcome.
you.
Thank you. Excellent. Jesus, would you like to go next? Hi.
Okay. Hi. So my name is Jesus Perez. I'm a lifelong resident of Arvin, of Lamont. Sorry, and I'm also the chairman of Bear Mountain Recreation and Parks District. And so I'm very excited to see these monies come into our communities and see how we can improve the standard of living for both of our communities.
Great, thank you, welcome.
I've also participated with the Comité de Progreso in Lamont, so I'm very familiar with Gustavo, and shout out to them for all the good work that they do. So thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, we'll hear from Tere next, and then Emma.
Hola, buenas tardes. Yo me llamo Teresa y quería comentar, ¿verdad?, que yo pertenezco al Comité para un Arvin Mejor, resido en Arvin, y yo he escuchado, ¿verdad?, que estuvieron muchos años luchando porque fuera aprobado este proyecto y por fin salió aprobado, y me parece muy significativo que este proyecto sea aprobado justamente ahora que hemos estado viviendo en estos últimos meses la pandemia, ¿verdad?, donde nuestros patrones de comunicación entre nosotros, los seres humanos, ha cambiado mucho justamente por esto de la pandemia, y llega justamente después de todos estos años, justo ahora llega este proyecto como una bendición, ¿verdad? Ahora que la comunidad necesita más que nunca, necesita tanto trabajar en comunidad y para la comunidad. Entonces me parece que es como un regalo de la providencia para que, es como posguerra, ¿verdad? O sea, casi que hemos estado viviendo una guerra con esto del coronavirus y de repente llega como una bendición para estos dos pueblos, ¿verdad? Para que se unan y para que tengan un entusiasmo y para que tengan algo, un espíritu de optimismo, pues, ¿verdad? Que las cosas buenas sí también pueden ocurrir. Y estoy muy contenta de pertenecer acá y de poder cooperar con un granito de arena. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Teresa.
Muchas gracias. Mrs. Tere lets us know, hi, good afternoon. My name is Tere. I would like to comment that I am from the Committee for a Better Arvin. I had heard that they had been fighting for many, many years to move this project forward. It has been a very significant one that it has now been approved, especially after the pandemic. This arrives just at the right time as a blessing now more than ever that the community needs to work as a community. It is almost as if we have been at war throughout this pandemic, and now we receive this blessing to help us stay in an optimistic attitude. And I am very happy that I can be here to place my little grain of sand towards the actions.
Great, thank you. And your translation interpretation is amazing. I just want to say it's very impressive. Okay, Emma, we'll have you be the last person. And again, we are looking forward to an entire, year-long process together. So this is just the start of hearing from a few of you, and we look forward to hearing from the rest of you throughout this process. So Emma.
Thank you, Julia, and thank you everyone for organizing this meeting and for being here. We're very happy to see everyone here and all the residents who took the time to be here today. My name is Emma de la Rosa. I'm a policy advocate with Leadership Council for Justice and Accountability, and I just wanted to introduce myself and say that I'm very excited to be working alongside everyone to bring better air quality to Arvin and Lamont, and of course to the community of Fuller Acres, Hilltop. We've been working continuously and tirelessly to include Fuller Acres in this project, in this program, because of their close proximity to the refinery. And it seems like, in collaboration with everyone and everyone's support, we hope to bring attention to Fuller Acres and bring attention to the entire South Carolina region, because there is really bad air quality. The experiences, the health impacts, you name it, right? I can go on and on, are very real. And we're just very excited to be working with you all and seeing some solutions and some investments to ensure that our communities have a better quality of life. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Emma. So thank you everyone for sharing. It was really great to get a sense of kind of why you're all here in the room, very dedicated to this work. So thank you. And so next what we'd like to do is hear from a few speakers from the Air District as well as other places to really give you an overview of kind of what this is all about, what this is going to look like, the background around this. And so what I'll do is I'll hand it over to Ryan Hayashi, who's the Deputy Air Pollution Control Officer for the Valley Air District. So Ryan, go ahead.
Oh, thank you so much, Julia. Likewise, so thankful to see so many of you here tonight. One of the things in going through this process, and we heard from a few of the speakers that the Arvin Lamont community has definitely been a very vocal proponent for bringing the AB 617 program to the community. That was one of the things that definitely impressed me the most, was just the passion of the community, the desire, and making sure that your voices were all heard. I attended many meetings, both for the district as well as the California Air Resources Board, and that was the one consistent thing was always that Arvin and Lamont was always the most well represented, had the loudest voice, talked about the air quality challenges that they faced, and thankful to be here tonight and really to kick this process off and working with the residents, the community groups, the businesses, because that's really the amazing and the fantastic thing that I've seen in working with this program, is that it brings a lot of people together, a lot of voices, and with the common goal of looking to find solutions and bring better air and better quality of life to the people living in the Arvin and Lamont area. One of the things with the AB 617, the Community Air Protection Program, it's just an amazing opportunity to bring more clean air resources, more attention to the area, and that we hope to use to reduce emissions and improve all of your health. This is now the fourth community that we're having the privilege of working with. The first year selection was in South Central Fresno, Chapter, and Stockton, and as we work on this program and work with all of you, we're definitely in the process of learning and how to do this better, how to listen more, how to build more trust with all the members of the community. And that's definitely something that we're going to continue to look to do. And using this platform of the kickoff meeting is having the opportunity to hear some of your stories and your experiences and your desires. Those are the things that motivate us. We have a passionate team here at the district that really want to work with all of you, and we want to see everything that you're hoping for come to reality for you, your parents, your siblings, your children. That's really what this is all about. Just on a personal level, I like to, I'm probably an oversharer, big share. I grew up, spent a lot of time in the South Central AB 617 area. My grandparents, came over from Hawaii, built their home there, started their church there, in their home. And then later, my grandfather was a carpenter and he built his church in the South Central AB 617 community. And so having lived there, spent a lot of time there, I've seen the challenges, I've experienced them firsthand. And so when we have a new community and it provides all this opportunity, it's very exciting for me on a personal level. And it motivates me to wake up in the morning and come here and to work with all of you and to see great things for the community. And so I know I just speak for the organization, because I know that the people that work with me, as well as the partner agencies that we've been fortunate to work through this process, I know I'm speaking for them as well. So just really excited, and I hope that all of you are equally excited and hopeful. And at the same time, we're gonna have to work really hard, and there is a lot of work to be done. And we know there's going to be challenges, and we look forward to working through those challenges with all of you. So thank you.
Great, thank you, Ryan. So next we'd like to hear from Deldy Reyes. She's the new director of the Office of Community Air Protection with CARB, the Air Resources Board. So I'll hand it over to Deldy.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you, Julia. I'm so glad to be here tonight. I have been in the role of the director of the Office of Community Air Protection for about almost 2 months now. And I just wanted to just share with you that my first visit to Arvin was about 7 years ago when I went to a meeting held by the Committee for a Better Arvin at Sal Partida's office, and walked into his shop, and it was just packed with community residents and members of the committee, all focused on their hopes and dreams for the community of Arvin. And that memory has always stuck with me, and for me represents also what we're trying to do here with this collection of stakeholders and partners. The 617 law really has partnership at its heart, and it has community priorities at its heart. I am one of 9 people tonight, I believe, from the California Air Resources Board. All of those folks represent different parts of CARB, the Air Resources Board, that support this program. And you may not always hear very much from us in these meetings, but believe me, we are taking notes, we are consulting with each other, we are consulting with you and with the Air District about the best way to move forward and support the goals of this committee. And we are committed to being with you every step of the way. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, LD. Great. And so we'd like to move it over and have Jessica Olson, who's the program manager for the Valley Air District, share with you a bit about kind of how this program works and what community engagement looks like for this. So I will hand it over to Jessica.
I actually think the first presentation is going to be Ryan. So he gets to speak one more time.
Okay. Excellent. So so we'll have Ryan go first, and then we'll have Jessica. So thank you.
Yeah, so I'm gonna, I'm fortunate to kind of go through some of the logistical things of what AB 617 is. I'll keep this brief so that we leave plenty of time to have additional time for any questions that any of the people participating in tonight's meeting have. So in general, I'm going to be talking about what's the community engagement look like under the AB 617 program and what this means for all of you. But first, need to do a little bit of background, and we've touched on it, and you've heard from some of the people tonight about the challenges that we face. Some of it's topography. We have surrounding mountains, and while beautiful, when we have good conditions, it also poses the challenges of trapping air pollution in the valley. And then on top of that, just the general meteorology also helps to trap in air pollution in the valley. Another factor is high poverty and unemployment. We have a high rate of population growth. In addition to that, we have the major transportation corridors, which are I-5 and Highway 99, which I'm sure you all know. During the summertime, our biggest challenge is the level of ozone pollution in the air. And then in the wintertime, the transition into the fine particulate matter challenges. So some of you may or may not be familiar with the San Joaquin Valley Air Pollution Control District and what we do. And so we have been here in cleaning up the air, and there's been a lot of progress that's been made. As an organization, we have the toughest air regulations on businesses, cars and trucks, consumer products, and valley residents. We've seen a reduction of health risks from existing and new businesses through the district's permitting and air toxics hotspots programs. We've seen tremendous support and commitment by the businesses in the valley who have spent over $40 billion in making clean air investments to comply with those tough rules and regulations, and oftentimes taking advantage of grant programs. As you've seen that we've now had spent over $2.6 billion in both public and private investment in cleaning up the air. which is it's an amazing accomplishment. We've also seen that air quality throughout the valley has improved significantly, and the next slide will show that a little bit. And while we had clean air efforts, we still have a long way to go, and we have a lot left to do. And so we have new clean air plans that are going to establish a range of new measures to further reduce the air pollution from businesses, mobile sources, and residents. So this is just, I think it's always telling to look at, where we coming from, where we're at. And so you can see back in 1980, where it was at. It was over 800 tons of NOx emissions, whereas today we're at 200. Now that 200 is still we have to reduce that considerably. And so that's why the regulations, the enforcement of those regulations all play an important part in helping to clean the air. So what I talked about was regional air pollution, and what AB 617 does, it's more community-based. It's local, looking for solutions to reduce emissions directly in communities, and that's toxic air pollutants, it's criteria air pollutants, and by reducing that we're going to see positive health outcomes, which means healthier people, which is what we all want. And so AB 617 was passed by the state legislature in 2017 to address high burdens from air toxics and criteria air pollutants in identified impacted communities. And what the legislation requires is that a robust public engagement process, including CARB and the air districts, work together in developing and implementing community-specific community air monitoring networks and community emission reduction programs. AB 617 was established to further address the community level air quality issues beyond the regional efforts that I discussed earlier. Provides an opportunity for investment in your community to reduce air pollution and improve quality of life. We've been very successful in bringing significant new funding to all Valley communities, and we look forward to doing the same in the Arvin and Lamont community. CARB has been tasked with selecting communities for action every year. And once CARB selects those communities, the air districts have to develop and implement any necessary air quality monitoring, community emission reduction programs for each of the communities. And this is really the key here, is that it's only successful through strong partnerships with the local and state agencies, community stakeholders, including the residents, businesses, community organizations, and others. So currently, the district has many programs that we're looking to speed up the rate at which we're cleaning up the air. And one of the things that we definitely look to do this is bringing incentive money to encourage people to make clean air decisions, choices, understanding that sometimes you need a little help in order to make those decisions. And so by providing some grant funding that allows people to make the decision to transition to cleaner things. And so as I talked about, we've spent over $2.8 billion in clean air grant in the public and private investment to date. And AB 617 creates new opportunities. And I heard or saw in the chat, the desire to come up with new and innovative ways to help clean up the air and invest in the community, and that's definitely something that we're going to be looking to do with in the Arvin Lamont area. So currently, we do have some programs, and I encourage anybody, whether it's a resident, it's a business, to visit the district's webpage and go to the grants page and see what is available to you. So, I mean, there's programs like our heavy duty truck replacement, agricultural equipment, alternatives to agricultural burning, low dust nut harvesting equipment, commercial lawn and garden equipment replacement, electric vehicle charging infrastructure, and many, many, many others for, like I said, for everybody. So just a few more, like the district's nationally recognized tune-in, tune-up program, which is the passenger vehicle repair. And in addition to that, there's a vehicle replacement component. Replacing wood stoves and fireplaces. I talked a little bit about the particulate matter challenges that we face in the valley during the wintertime, and encouraging people to move away from anything that burns and transitioning into something that doesn't is definitely a big help with reducing local impacts of air pollution. Electric lawnmowers, same thing. There's studies that show that replacing an old lawnmower is like replacing 20 or 30 cars, just because some of those older pieces of equipment really do produce a lot of pollution. And then we have good programs for our public agencies, which I talked a little bit about, which is electric vehicle charging infrastructure, emergency vehicle replacement. One of the things that we're proud of is that, and the long history that the district has in working with Arvin area, was that Arvin was one of the first areas where we partnered with them to get the first hybrid police vehicles in the state as part of a program like that. And then we have the things like transit and school bus replacement, and that's really important because the diesel particulate matter, these other pollutants, those are affecting some of our most sensitive receptors, who are the children. So replacing that have a huge health benefit. And just some information, feel free to reach out through the AB617@valleyair.org, or calling the phone number 559-230-6170, and feel free to reach out to anybody at the Air District in regards to anything that maybe don't get answered tonight, or you think of questions later on. We are definitely at your service. We want to provide you with all the information that you need and want. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Ryan. So I'd like to see if there are any just kind of very quick initial questions for Ryan. We are going to have Jessica also share a bit more about all of this, and we'll be able to answer more questions and go more into this. But any quick questions for Ryan before we move in to having Jessica share more? Great. Okay, so we'll have Jessica jump in, and then from there we'll have a chance to do a bigger kind of Q&A and get any thoughts out, questions after we hear from Jessica. So.
Absolutely. Thank you, Julia. And thank you all for being here. I am so excited. A lot of you know me, but many of you, this is your first time, I think maybe even on a Zoom or community meeting. So welcome. I'm Jessica Olson. I'm a program manager with the Valley Air District. And I have been working with a lot of you through work with the Shafter community, but also through your work that you have already done, has been said many times tonight, to get the Arvin Lamont area selected for AB 617. So thank you again for all of your hard work. We're so excited. And I'm really excited to share with you right now a little bit about how the Community Engagement and Air Protection Program works, or how AB 617 works, and be on what we call our Community Steering Committee. Can you guys still see me? I just got to. Okay, that's good enough. All right, so the AB 617 community selection process with Arvin Lamont. So this is actually the third year of selections that went to the California Air Resources Board, or CARB, as we will often call it in front of you. The first year, there were 10 communities selected statewide, and the year one community for the Valley Air District was South Central Fresno and Shafter. The second year, we went to our governing board for the Air District and to CARB. We actually nominated both the Stockton community and Arvin Lamont, as a lot of you might remember. CARB only had the ability to select 3 communities statewide, and in that selection, the year 2 Valley community was Stockton. So with this, finally, the 3rd-year selection, that's how we ended up with the Arvin Lamont community as being selected. And once again, we're very excited. So as a lot of you have already mentioned, this right now just depicts the CARB selected Arvin Lamont community boundary. So something that we will do at the first committee meeting, and something that's allowed for in the blueprint, or really the outline of how we implement AB 617, is that really the community steering committee, made up of all of those residents and businesses and folks that work and live in the community, are the ones who finalize the community boundary. So we have already heard a lot of feedback about the Fuller Acres Hilltop community, about the community sort of in between Arvin Lamont here. Certainly, as we move forward, we will certainly take those recommendations and work with the steering committee at that first meeting to set those final boundaries with the committee's input and with the committee's really approval of setting those final boundaries. So we wanted folks to know that even if you're at this meeting right now and you're not sure if you're within the boundary, but you want to participate, certainly send us your application, because it's certainly possible that the community boundaries extend out further than what is drawn here on this map. So just a little bit about the Arvin Lamont community. You all know this because you live and you work there, but it has been long recognized as one of the most air quality impacted areas of the Valley, that small rural community, really of only 37,000 residents, but you are very impacted in really a disadvantaged community way, meaning there are some population characteristics, whether it's unemployment or poverty, in addition to a pollution burden, meaning high air pollution, as we've discussed, that really make the Arvin Lamont area a disadvantaged community. You were also selected for work with actually ILG, the Institute for Local Government, who is facilitating our meeting today, to work on a grant with the Strategic Growth Council. And this really, just in addition to all of the work that we've heard from some of the folks that have unmuted and shared some of their stories today, just goes to show an appreciation for the ability of this community to build capacity, to participate in these types of programs, and just to let you know that there are certainly people, maybe they're your neighbors or they're your community members that you work and talk with, that might have already been involved in some community process. So we'll all work together to kind of learn together and move this forward together through a lot of that experience that's already in your community. So there are a lot of different types of sources, and I'll just kind of high level go over this. Ryan already mentioned all of the different types of things that could contribute to air pollution. And those are certainly things that we would work together to identify whether they're concerns of your community. We can also share some technical expertise and then work together to find ways to reduce emissions from these sources. So certainly heavy duty truck traffic, especially we're thinking, you know, the highways 184 and 223 can be a main source of pollution there, and certainly a large concern we have heard. There are off-road mobile sources, so construction equipment or agricultural equipment. There are what we call stationary sources. So those are things that like stay put, like an industrial source or a gas station. There are area-wide sources, so things that Ryan has already mentioned, like burning wood or cooking, those can create emissions as well. And then finally, there are pesticides. And all of these different things, as you can see here, are regulated by different agencies. So what AB 617 really does, and what we need to do as a committee, as the air district, and as some of the agencies, we need to come together and really learn how to work with and partner with these different agencies to raise a lot of the concerns of the committee to their attention. One example, again, is pesticides. That is not regulated by the Air District, but it is regulated by the California Department of Pesticides. And we've certainly started that relationship a bit with some of you folks working with Shafter, and we will continue to move that forward. So one of the main components that Ryan mentioned is the community air monitoring plan. And a lot of the comments actually that we heard when you were answering those questions earlier were about one of the things you're excited about, right, is to get monitoring done in your community. There's not just going to be one monitor that represents that whole region, but rather several monitors throughout the Arvin and Lamont area that can tell you really community level air quality information, what's really happening at the local level. And not only will we be measuring that, but you will be able to see in real time on a website, on the district's app, what is happening in your community with those community monitors. So that's one of the main things that we will work for as a community, is taking all of the different air monitoring equipment, which I'm showing here, and deciding as a community, where do we want to place that? Where do we think that these areas are being most impacted? Where do we think we want to understand what sources of pollution are coming? So those are some of the opportunities we get to work together, and one of the two main components of the AB 617 program. The other main component of the AB 617 program is what we call the Community Emission Reduction Program. And this is really the heart of AB 617. It's finding out what those main sources of concern are for air pollution in the community, and then working together to find ways to reduce it. So while we will always be working on our air monitoring plan and understanding the community as it stands now and as it moves forward in time, but simultaneously we will be working to reduce the emissions in the community. We have about a year to work on it, and once we adopt it, we will really work to set goals, set priorities, and work together to implement the SERP is the acronym for it, but the Community Emissions Reduction Plan as a full steering committee. So I know we've shared a lot with you tonight. We are certainly open for Q&A here in just a moment. But one of the main things that you can do to help remind yourself a lot about what we've talked about already, or if you want to be a part of the process, you can visit community.valleyair.org. You already actually have a community website. There is an Arvin Lamont page exclusively for your community, where you can go and see the agenda for today, agenda for future meetings. We will post the videos. All of our meetings are recorded, as well as any sort of new information. Say we do deploy air monitoring and you want to see air monitoring in the community, all of that will be located on this page. So please go to community.valleyair.org. You can see the steering committee application. And then that brings me to my final slide, which is what Ryan just shared, just as a reminder. But if you visit that website, you are able to then apply to be on the steering committee, and you will work with us, really, like I said, throughout this year to develop those two plans. So with that, I will stop sharing so I can see faces, and Ryan and I are certainly open for any questions.
Great, thank you, Jessica. Yeah, so if there are any questions for Ryan or Jessica, that would be great to hear from them now. And then also just, we are going to go in a little bit more detail around the role of the steering committee, what that's going to look like in terms of the process, the goals for the steering committee, kind of the composition, et cetera. So we'll share a bit more in detail after this as well. So any questions for Ryan or Jessica? Feel free to raise your hand, or also we'll just enable the chat so you can also put a question in the chat if that's easier for you. Great. So
and just as a reminder, if you're on the phone, you can push *9.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Erica. Yes. Great. So I see a hand raised here. Bianca, would you like to go first?
Yes, I was wondering, I had submitted some applications from some residents. I was wondering, they would receive notification if getting approved by the air district by, do you know by since what date? I just have that question.
Yeah, thanks, Bianca. I think you're reading our minds a little bit, so appreciate that. So we're good, and this will be in the following slides, but once we're planning on asking for applications by April 7th. And then after that, we will be notifying, reviewing the applications and then notifying those that, who meet the qualifications to be part of the community steering committee through a letter. And so that's going to be the process.
Great, thank you. I have here a hand from Ivanka and then Jesus. Ivanka, would you like to go?
Hi, everyone. This is Ivanka with Leadership Council. I just wanted to go back 1 second, Jessica. You had stated that, or Erica, that ILG received the funding from SGC for a boost program. Can you just kind of elaborate on that a little bit more?
Yeah, absolutely. So the program actually just ended. About 2 years ago, we started a program with the Strategic Growth Council called the Boost Program. We had 10 cities and 2 regions up and down California. And Arvin was actually one of those communities that was chosen for a number of reasons, number of which is just an interest in doing amazing things in the community. We wanted to see how we could help build capacity in local agencies. And so we worked with Arvin for about the past 2 years and had some incredible success. And some of the members of the team we worked with are on the line today, and I think are still active with the city. And we worked with community members as well. And we're about to wrap that program up formally by the end of this month, actually.
Okay, so does that not necessarily have to do with the facilitation role that ILG
It's completely unrelated and coincidental. No, it's just familiarity with the community. We do work with a lot of cities, counties, and special districts up and down the state.
Okay. And then the next question I have, and I forgive me, new team, new interested parties. I'm involved with the South Central Fresno, so I'm coming from a space of the experience and having walked this path before a lot of you have. And so my next question is, has it been confirmed by ILG and the Air District that ILG is going to be the facilitator for this community? Or as we know in Fresno, that was the right and the decision of the steering committee to have input on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're open to suggestions. I mean, our recommendation, because ILG has been working with AB 617s and communities, and I think they've done an exceptional job at providing neutral, unbiased facilitation. That it would be our recommendation. If we did hear a strong desire not to use them, I think we would definitely have to listen to the steering committee.
Okay,
I will. Just to echo though, ILG was brought to us by Fresno steering committee members. So we were, if you recall, we actually had a different facilitator that was not successful.
That was not successful. Yes.
Right. And so then we actually brought ILG in based on Fresno steering committee recommendations. And I will say that we are currently in contract with them at least until the end of this fiscal year, which is the end of June. But I think it is an ongoing conversation. And if the steering committee comes forward and says, we have concerns, we don't think this is working, we would definitely listen to those and try to resolve those concerns.
Right.
As would ILG. I think they're very committed to doing that as well.
I really like Erica's team. And so I'm not trying to be biased one way or the other. I just want to make sure that for accuracy and accountability and just being upfront, that you as a new steering committee know that how this process gets off either on the right foot or on the wrong foot is up to you to speak up whenever something comes about that may or may not be a concern, that to bring it up. And so while you're on contract, this is something that, to me, what we've seen with Fresno is needing more accuracy and openness on the funding. So Jamie, for you to say that ILG is part on contract, that's contract for who? Is that Fresno funding? So these are questions that start to rise for me to help this community get off on that right foot. And that, the funding, the budget, whose funding are we pulling from the Air District? Is it 617 for Fresno communities rolling over? It can get complicated, but the steering committee has the right to know what that process looks like. So thank you.
Great, thank you, Ivanka. Yeah, those are really great points around the transparency and the openness, and that's definitely something that I think we all want to make sure happens, and it's up to all of us to hold ourselves accountable. So I appreciate that. Is there anything else that Jamie or others wanted to share on that note? Okay, great, excellent. So I see Jesus has a hand up, and it looks like that's it so far. So Jesus, if you'd like to share.
Hi, yeah, Jesus Alonso, resident of Lamont and community organizer for Clean Water Action. Sorry, my internet was cutting out a little earlier, and I apologize if this question has been asked or answered. But on the boundaries, once the committee sets those boundaries, will there be opportunity for the added communities to be part of the committee? And if so, how much time would they have to submit their application? And if that's up to the committee, what has that looked like in the past in other communities?
Yeah, so I can speak to that, Jesus. So I think a good example was what we did in Stockton, and what we encouraged. We heard kind of the same thing up there with a desire to add like a community to the east and to the south. And during the kickoff meeting, we encouraged those of you that know people that maybe live in the areas that people were thinking. We've heard from Hilltop and Fuller Acres to go ahead and submit those community steering committee applications now. The process would be that the people that are in the current boundaries right now, we would have them kind of vote to extend those boundaries during that first meeting. And then at that point, we would, if those people meet the qualifications, we'd have to review those, review the applications, and then we'd look to do that. It's a similar type of formalized process to send them letters as well, letting them know that they are officially part of the community steering committee. But the short, yes, to the short answer, yes, there's opportunity for them to be on the community steering committee, and that will afford additional time to submit applications after that.
Okay, so about the same as what we have now, roughly like a month or so, though. Yeah. All right, awesome. And my last question is concerning the pollution sources. Do they need to be within the boundaries in order to be identified or analyzed or taken into account?
That's what we've done it a few different ways. Ideally, it helps us if it is part of the community boundary. We took a little bit of different approach when it came to Shafter, where it was, they kind of had like a secondary boundary where the facilities in that area were looked at.
Great. Okay, so thank you. So we have one more question here from Gustavo. His hand is up. And then I see one question in the chat as well. So we'll go with Gustavo first, if you'd like to check.
Yes, how's it going? Thank you again. I'd like to also, in the spirit of AB 617 and having this process be a community-driven process, I want to piggyback off of Ivanka's comments and look at, facilitation. I attended the other year 3 community kickoff meeting, which was in South Central Los Angeles. And in that, the air district down in Los Angeles kind of accepted a role of having co-lead or co-facilitation, a subgroup of community organizations and community members that live in South Central or South LA. And I think, this is something that we have already had conversations with in Shafter. I'm also a member of the AB 617 steering committee in Shafter. And what we do there is have kind of pre-meetings where we have agenda kind of facilitation meetings. We've had residents be kind of folks that are host or welcome the beginnings of the meetings. But I think now that the air district and the state are well vetted, we're in year 3, this is the 4th community. I think it's worth exploring what a co-facilitation and co-lead with primary residents or resident groups looks like, right? And I think that it really supports the idea of this being a community-led process. And so, this is something that I think should be the conversation maybe day 1 when the steering committee is created. and looking at the opportunities to having a subset of community groups or these committees that are in these communities be folks that are part of the leadership and the development of this entire process.
Great, thank you, Gustavo.
No, those are all good points, Gustavo, and that's definitely something that we're looking forward to working with the committee on establishing that. I think those are all things that would be covered in the community charter that we're going to work with the community on. And I think what we're going to look to do is provide a template of a community charter, and then work with the committee on what that final charter looks like.
Great, and then we've got a few questions in the chat as well, so I want to make sure we answer those. Starting with, so do you allow youth on the committee? Is there any additional support provided to them? Youth are allowed on the committee with parental approval. In terms of the additional support, would anyone like to answer that question as well?
We're happy to provide additional support. I just don't know what do you mean, like as in like additional meetings for them to train them? Do you mean like technology support? We're happy to discuss any of that. And usually we ask that the parent submit a letter with the application saying, my child, Jamie Holt I'm Jamie Holt, I work for the Air District. My child, Jamie Holt, has my permission to serve on the AB 617 steering committee, signed Mom Holt, Dad Holt.
Great.
I don't know if Jenny wanted to clarify what kind of support they think they might need, though.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I just meant any additional support so that they're not overwhelmed if there's any, jargon or things like that, because we definitely want to keep them engaged. I'm not sure what other types of opportunities there might be in terms of technology, but I think they might be okay because they're in school right now. So, but anyways, those were really just my main questions in terms of anything in addition for youth. Do you have any specific orientation for youth targeted at youth specifically?
Great,
Nope,
thank you.
We're happy to provide whatever support you think might be helpful. You're going to get sick of all of us.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point. In general, we want this process to be open and accessible to everyone, whether it's their first time participating in a community process or their 100th time. And so that is really, making sure that youth, feel welcome and are engaged is a really important aspect of this. So thank you for bringing that up. So I want to be able to move on. I think this comment from Maricela, I think, is kind of along the same lines around, youth engagement and making sure that they are supported. So I'll have us move on. We actually wanted to share a short video that kind of illustrates what this process looks like and hear from folks that have participated in the past. And then we also have a couple of slides to just kind of basically summarize like what does it look like to be a part of this process and what's involved. And so we want to make sure we have time for both of those. And then if there are any last questions at the very end before 7:30, we will stop right at 7:30. So if there are follow-up questions as well after today, we'll make sure that you get the opportunity to follow up with folks. So we'll transition to the video.
Okay, let me get it going. Give me 1 second, get my volume up. Voila.
My favorite part of this process is the public engagement. We have so many residents from this community who showed up for this process and have continued to give their time and energy to it.
I like that I had been at the table with business representatives, with people who work for the city, for the COG, people that normally we're not together talking and discussing issues in the same way and in the same space.
I believe the best thing is the opportunity to learn other people's challenges. Homeowners, businesses, some of the coalition people and their desires.
The communication and the listening and the back and forth and the actual working together has been awesome. So I'm looking forward to seeing the next blueprint come out, and I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of results we get on the monitors and the improvements we can do as far as truck traffic, road improvements.
Lo que me ha gustado es que nos están ayudando mucho en la comunidad. Nosotros vivimos en una comunidad muy contaminada y me gusta el enfoque que están teniendo con el proyecto para disminuir la contaminación.
The real-time pollution information that's going to come out will give our community much better information moving forward to protect themselves and their families, their children for the future. And I'm very pleased to be a part of that.
Excellent. Well, thank you all so much for the discussion so far. We've heard so many incredible insights from people that are been on the committees in other communities, and from those of you that are joining us for the first time from Arvin, Lamont. It's a really incredible group. And I think now is the part of the program where we talk about the opportunity for each of you to play a role in this effort. So I wanted to start off, though, by explaining a little bit about ILG's role as a facilitator in this process. And you heard a little bit from Gus, and I think from Ivanka as well. And as I mentioned at the beginning, you know, the Institute for Local Government, we're a nonprofit organization. We work statewide, and our goal with this project is to really provide neutral facilitation of your meetings. And in every community, that takes a little bit of a different form. We're nonprofit and nonpartisan. And what that means, and that's important because it means we just don't take sides in discussions. We ensure that all the committee members are really able to share your opinions, have your voices heard in every meeting. And that means even if you have maybe a dissenting voice, we make sure that that's elevated because we're committed to that equity, to that inclusion, to that engagement. That's one of the things that we really pride ourselves on. So we try and work with the committee members in the AIR district to make sure that the process of developing your plan and implementing it does reflect what the legislation intended, which is a community-driven approach. And that's something that Ivanka was talking about. Every community is a little bit different, but we work as a team to lift up your voices and make sure that your priorities are highlighted through this process. So we're going to try to help you tell your unique community story, share your concerns, shape your air quality goals. And every community wants to do that a little bit differently. And as Gus mentioned at the beginning of this process, you guys decide what that looks like for you. So ILG came in midstream in Fresno and Shafter. And then in Stockton, we launched the program in person. And then in the middle of COVID, right? COVID happened and we're sheltered in place. And we've all learned so much during that process of this past year. And so in some communities, there are community co-hosts and other ways for the community to ensure that they're engaged as much as possible in this role. But you know, when we first started this, it was about coordinating in-person meetings. And when we moved into shelter in place, it was about managing and the logistics of Zoom, making sure that we have interpretation, making sure presentations work. And so now we're really thinking about how do we make sure this is engaging, whether we're in person, whether we're virtual or not. So one of the things the ILG team does as well as we keep the meetings moving forward, we make sure things stay on track. We do our absolute best to start on time and end on time every time. But we also administer the stipend program, which you're going to hear about as well. So we coordinate the payments that are dispersed to residents as part of this program. They just kicked that off this year, and we're excited to play a role in that in July. So the role of ILG or any facilitator would be very different than your role as a CSC member. And you guys get to shape that. You get to shape how it's coordinated. You get to shape what role you want to play. You get to decide in your charter and in your kind of foundational meetings how you want to operate. So the first few meetings you're going to have to determine how your committee is going to function, what you want to do, and how you want to activate it. And so Julie is going to cover that briefly for you now, and then we'll jump right into a very short Q&A before we adjourn for the night.
Great. So if we could pull up the slides for the last two slides of the presentation. So I'll run through this briefly here. So basically starting with, over the next few weeks, the district will be establishing the community steering committee based on, the applications they receive. And then just remembering that, even if for those that are not actually on the steering committee itself, there's a role for everyone to play in this process. So we want to make sure that everyone is engaged that wants to be, and just, to make that very inclusive in that way. So the committee is not exclusive in that way. We really want to encourage broader participation as well. The majority of steering committee members will be residents of the community. We also want to have members that represent businesses in the community, community advocates, locally based business associations, schools, healthcare, and other community-based stakeholders. So we want it to be a very broad set of community stakeholders in the group. We'll also have a committee that includes representatives from city, county, and other local public agencies that will be at these meetings. And so again, success really requires strong community participation. Again, this is community driven and led. So the first steering committee will be in late April, and we'll establish kind of a frequency of meetings after that. And again, the application is due April 7th. Okay, and so again, kind of going into the role of the steering committee, you know, the main role of the committee is really an advisory role to the air district. And so, let's see. So the goal is to help the district understand community concerns. That's a really big part of, you know, you are the community voice. You have so much, or the district has so much to learn from the voices in the community of what your specific kind of needs and concerns are and experiences are. There's a lot of ways to do that, right? Including identifying local, mobile, and stationary sources for air monitoring, location of sensitive receptors, also to assist in developing any community monitoring plans, developing a community-specific web page, assisting with the public engagement process, you know, the broader public as well, and identifying and evaluating emission reduction opportunities. So a lot of different roles that the committee plays with the air district. So membership will require regular participation in meetings, an ongoing commitment to ensure that this is a meaningful process. So we're hoping for, you know, consistent participation with the committee members. And then also, as Erica mentioned, there will be stipends that we'll set up as well for attendance. So those are a few of the main parts of kind of just thinking through, you know, what is that role that you play? And I'd love to see if anyone from the Air District would like to share a little bit more about this before we go into some questions in the last 9 minutes that we have. And Erica, if you'd like to jump in as well with anything else.
No, I think you highlighted just the overall importance of the community steering committee and helping in you know, for us to listen and to work with all the community members to put together a SERP that's going to address the concerns that the residents, the businesses, community organizations identify and share with us. And it's going to be a community, as many of you have heard, a community-driven process, and we look forward to it. We embrace it, and I think it's going to be a great thing once we get to the day where we transition from the development phase into the implementation phase, where the real benefits to the community begin.
Great, thank you, Ryan. Any other comments from the team at the Air District? Okay, or Ryan or Erica as well. Great. Okay, excellent. So we have about 8 minutes left for Q&A. So we'd love to hear any final questions, thoughts, you know, things on your mind. We want to encourage everyone to participate and sign up and apply. And so if we could actually share the screen as well with the final page of like deadlines and next steps and any other next steps that the team wants to share, that will be helpful. Great. So
we also want to make sure we get Spanish line comments as well, in case there's anyone struggling from the Spanish line that had a comment. We'd love to make sure that they have an opportunity to weigh in as well.
Yeah, so feel free to raise your hand or go into the chat. And again, *9 to raise your hand if you're on the phone.
Looks like we just have a couple quick comments in the chat. Just apologies for leaving early from the current COG, but there is a lot of well wishes for success of the program, and congratulations for the kickoff of the program as well. And that's from Linda Urata.
Looks like we do not have any comments on the phone line so far.
Great, okay.
Great.
Any other thoughts or questions about, should I apply? How can I, what would it look like to participate? Any other final thoughts of like, if you're on the fence or you're thinking about like, what is my best way to get involved? Or, just any other questions of like reaching out to others in your community that you'd want to invite, let me know. It looks like everyone knows how to move forward.
I was going to say, well, maybe if you're thinking of your question, I will say we are tentatively. Oh, Mari.
Yes, we do have a question. We're taking the comment right now.
Oh, great.
Hold on just a moment.
Okay.
I just want to say that as community, as a resident, it is really important to get involved in the things that are important to us. Us families who have been living through these issues for so long due to contaminants of, in air, in the water, many of the things that are occurring. But beforehand, thank you so much for having a concern for the community and for prioritizing that we were selected in Lamont, Arvin, because we are communities that don't have the resources to do the many things that we would like to accomplish, but we are fighting for over 15 and a half years. And I have become involved more than anything because I am concerned, not as a person, but as a community as a whole in the Arvin Lamont community. All of our colleagues like Gustavo Aguirre, Bianca Santoyo, CRPE, we have worked with them, Roberto Garcia, Mr. Escoto, and many, many others who have supported us. And beforehand, this is our interest. And I want to be in this in this meeting and any future meeting, God willing. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that. It's great. Okay, so we have one more question here in the chat as well. As far as process, what days will the future CSC meeting be on a monthly basis?
Gustavo, I think read my mind. That would have, thank you, Gustavo. We are tentatively scheduling our first steering committee meeting for the 4th Wednesday of the month. So for April, that will be the 28th. This actually happens to be the 4th Wednesday of March. So it's actually just the next one in the sequence. And so as Ryan mentioned earlier, once we receive steering committee applications by April 7th, we will notify those who were selected to be on the committee and inform them. But also, as I mentioned earlier, just even if you were not selected to be on the committee or you live outside the boundary, but you're just interested or you just don't have time to participate, but every once in a while you want to pop in, all of the information on what the meetings will be on that valleyair.org/community. If you want to email us at ab617@valleyair.org, I'm going to share my screen, just it's that same slide. You can always just reach out to us to find out ways to be involved. And then we're looking for maybe keeping that if the committee can make that time on the 4th Wednesday of every month.
Great, thank you, Jessica. And before we close as well, I'd want to check and see if there are any public comments through the live YouTube and Facebook feeds, if we could check in on that. And meanwhile, I just wanted to say thank you all. I'm very much, oh, we've got one more hand here. Emma, go ahead.
Yes, thank you. I'm always thinking last minute. I just wanted to acknowledge the fact that we have the Ag Commissioner here with us today, and we have SoCal Gas and a few other public agencies here with us. And I want to say that I hope that your attendance today, your participation today means that you are here to act in the best interest of the community, and that you will be, that you are also committing to supporting better regulations or monitoring, whatever the case is for our planning department, better land uses to ensure that this program is definitely effective and that we're not going to be meeting a lot of barriers along the way. So I'm very excited to have all of you here and look forward to your support. Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. I also look forward to working with all of you over the next year as we plan, go through this planning process. And I'd also like to hand it over to Erica to close, and anyone else would like to have some closing remarks. So look forward to working with you all.
Oh, just thank you, Emma, for those comments. And I just will reiterate based on the last slide is that this is an open process for community members, business members, industry members, agriculture. It's important that you have this diverse voices, and community agencies, local governments are so important to making this process work well. We've seen in other communities how important and successful it can be when all the kind of allied agencies and jurisdictions are working together to help move this AB 617 community steering process forward. And it's very helpful to have that collaboration. And so it really is heartening to see so many on the line today. I won't close today. I will offer your host, the Air District, the opportunity to put out closing remarks, and then we will adjourn this meeting. And I will turn it over to Ryan for final thoughts before we say goodnight.
Yeah, I really appreciate, like I said, everybody's time, and this is a time-intensive program, and it's really just because, and while it seems like it's a lot of time, it's really a short amount of time. When you look at the scope of the overall tasks of developing a community air monitoring plan and putting together a community emission reductions program, it's going to be a lot of work. And one thing I know about this committee, just having been in so many meetings and listened to the voices, the commitment is definitely there. I know that this community has the capability and the commitment and the desire to develop both a community air monitoring plan that's going to address their wants and desires, and the community emission reduction program that's going to get them the health, the air pollution reductions and the quality of life improvements that they're looking for. And so huge opportunity for all of us. Really looking forward to working with all of you. And I just hope everybody has a fantastic night and they walk away. I think Emma did a great job of just sharing the importance of the partnerships that's going to take to make this a success. And just want to re-highlight that, and wish everybody a good night, and hope that everybody gets an opportunity to eat dinner, and we'll see you in a few weeks.
Thank you, everyone.
Definitely get dinner.
Take care, and thank you for amazing interpretation. So helpful.
Muchas gracias.
Gracias a todos. Buenas noches.
Thank you.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Arvin.
Yay.
Que pasen muy buen día.
Bye. Gracias.
Can't wait to meet you all in person someday.
Yes.